So today what I'm doing is replacing a B.O.B tire. I might be changing the inner tube as well, but it waits to be seen. The reason I'm changing the tire is this is another tire that I actually just pulled off. As you can tell, it's dry rotting. So I ordered another tire and made sure that it was the matching size. So you can find the size on the outside of the rim. And it should be listed right here. So mine's a 16 by 2, so that's in inches. And I made sure that the other one was also a 16 by 2. So the first thing you want to do, take the tire off obviously, and then get all the air out as much as you can. I'm going to reposition the camera. Best way to do this is just push down that little lever on the inside. Sometimes you can just use one of the caps and it will just push it on there. You're going to hear all the air come out. It'll just be easier to get everything out if all the air is out. So once it gets down to a point where it's not hissing anymore, we'll try to pull it off. Alright, and it is not hissing anymore. So what I'm using to lever the tire off is this spoon. You can see it's kind of curved. So what I'm going to try to do, and of course you want to make sure that the cap for the tire is off, and then you lever the spoon around the whole thing, and once it's kind of started to pry off, then you can kind of put it on the ground. And sometimes it does take a little bit of force to get the whole thing out. I chose the wrong side. You don't want to use the side that actually has the hose attachment, because then it won't actually slip out. So again, you kind of go around the outside, prying up with the spoon. I usually just try to take the spoon out. Again, might take some force, it might slip back on, but I kind of work my way around the tire from the top. But again, if you get this all the way around here and pull up and over the rim, it'll come right off. Alright, so that one just came right off there. So I'm just going to inspect the inner tube. I think this is a new one that I put on already, so I don't need that. So I'm going to take that tire off, and I'm going to put this one on, and we're going to slide the inner tube in. Alright, so this is the easy part. Getting it back on is usually a little bit easier. Alright, but honestly the most important tool is the spoon. Alright, now there's one little trick. You got to make sure that the drive direction, there's a little drive arrow. And the way I usually line it up, the way that the tire usually goes for me, has been rotating this way. So I just make sure that the drive is that direction. And then you have to line up, of course, that part of the tire. And what you do is once it goes through, then you take your cap and you slide it on so it doesn't come out. Alright. And then I make sure that it's good and flush on top. I flip it over, and then I just start working it this way. Normally what I'll do is I'll bring it up to the top. But yeah, you want to make sure that the inner tube doesn't get pinched. And again, you just work it up to the top. Usually, once you get it closer to the top, it kind of slides in better. This one appears to be going on okay right now. I'm close to the top. Alright, so then it just slipped on there. I'm going to pull any residue out from underneath here. The one thing with this tire I noticed is it did have like a lot of gunk that came off, so I'm not entirely sure how old this one is that I got. I think it will be completely fine because it's not sharp edges. But again, once that goes on, then you can inflate it. The front tire, though, if it has a brake, you want to put this on first and then inflate it, because the part of the brake that clamps on here, it will be too narrow to slide the tire through. So again, put it on first and then inflate it. So, and generally there's a max inflation on the outside. You don't want to do the max inflation, just inflate until you can kind of just push it in a little bit. So it's, there's obviously pressure, but you can kind of still push it in a little bit. So this tire kind of has that demonstration here where there's still a little bit of give here. So you don't want to overinflate it, of course, because then the tire inner tube will burst prematurely. But yeah, that's how you put the tire on. Just make sure it's all the way around there, no inner tube is showing, and then just go on to your next set.